Hey everybody, it's Jeff O'Connor. Welcome back to my shop. I want to introduce you to one of my favorite little tools in my shop, the Squirrel plane, coming up. So let's break down this little guy. This is actually called a Model 100. This is made by Lee Nielsen, and this is a model maker's plane, affectionately called the Squirrel plane. Why? Well, look right there, that cute little tail. And it fits really, really well in your hand. And we've got a little spot here to put your finger when you're using it. So it's a very comfortable little tool, and I'm going to take it apart here and show it to you real quick. So it really only has three parts essentially. We unscrew this and we remove the cap. This cap is made of bronze, manganese bronze I think it is. We've got our A2 steel blade here, and it's actually a pretty hefty blade. It's 7/8 wide, but it's an 1/8 inch thick, so it's actually a pretty thick blade for the size of the plane iron. And then we have this, which is ductile iron, and Lee Nielsen always has really great tolerances on the bottom, so you're almost guaranteed to get that thing flat when it arrives in your shop. But that's it. Those are the three parts, and you can see when I compare this to other planes in my shop, this is the next one up. This is a standard block plane for Lee Nielsen, and it's you can see just the blade width alone is quite a bit different. And then we got this, which is not even the largest plane I have, but this is a 5.5. So the Squirrel plane really is a little peewee, but there are some things I really think it excels at, and I'll show those to you later. But for right now, let's take this blade over and I'll show you how I sharpen this little guy. So with this plane iron, I sharpen this kind of in a combination between a plane iron and a chisel because of the size of it. Now the grind of this bevel here is 25 degrees from Lee Nielsen, and the body that I showed you, the ductile iron, that's set at 12 degrees. So as we're cutting, our total cutting angle is going to be 37 degrees. So as I bring it down to the stone here, I'm going to add a little bit of lubrication. I actually sharpen this more like a chisel. If I was using a wide plane iron, I typically will hold it and I'll do small circles to sharpen that plane iron. But because of the width of this, I sharpen it more like a chisel, which is going to be up and down. So I'm going to find the bevel here. So I rotate it up until I feel the bevel, and I've got it right there. Now I'm just going to rotate this up a couple degrees, and I just do short strokes, maintaining that angle so I can get a secondary bevel on this for about 10 seconds. Now after that, I'm going to move it over here to my 16,000 grit stone. And there's a lot of different ways to sharpen out there. I'm not telling you this is what you have to do, but this is what I was taught by Rob Cosman, and I think it works the best. And this is how I use it with the 1,000 to the 16,000. Same thing here. I find my bevel. I go up a little bit, just like I did for the secondary, and I go up one more time for my tertiary. And again, I'm going to do those short strokes, just like I would be sharpening a chisel, for about 10 seconds. Feel the back here. I got a little burr going on there, so I know I've done my job. Now I take this little guy here, and now we're going to do David Charlesworth's what we call the ruler trick here, and we're going to line this up. We place a ruler underneath it to create this back bevel with a slight angle on it, so we're just focusing on the tip of the blade in the back there, and we're going to take off that the burr that we created. And this doesn't take long, just a couple seconds here. And that's it. Now we've got a nice sharp blade to use. So we're going to head back over to the plane, and I'll show you how I set this up to cut. Now we've got a nice sharp blade, and I'm going to load it into the body here. And this silver area in the center there is what I was talking about for the 12 degrees of the body. And then we're going to have this 25 degree bevel sliding in there. So I pop that guy in, creating my 37 degree cutting angle. Now I take this little bronze cap, I slide this guy in. You can see I got a little groove there for the rod. Once that's in, I just kind of hold this in place and screw it down until I feel it grab a little bit. I'm not trying to tighten it all the way down right now. I just want to make sure I got it in place. And now what I'm going to do is bring in a little piece of wood here. And all I want to do is start sliding this plane across until I'm engaging wood. And I kind of move it forward a little bit. You see it starting to get a shaving there. I'm going to do just a little bit more. I think that's where I want to be there. So now I look down, make sure that I'm getting a shaving all the way across and that my blade is parallel there to the mouth. And now I'm going to tighten this down. We're going to take this guy over now, and I'm going to show you how I use it. So this is called the Model Maker's Plane because it excels at doing kind of those delicate tasks. One of the things I like about it, if I'm doing inlays with different woods, and let's say a tabletop, and I'm putting narrow pieces in there that I need to do micro adjustments to be able to fit into the grooves that I've created, this is a great tool to use. So here I've got a piece of cherry that is an 1/8 inch wide, and it's about 7/8, it's an 1/8 inch thick, 7/8 wide. And if you look, it sits in here pretty wiggly, right? It's just a thin piece of wood. I don't want to crank down my vise too much because it's going to start bending that. So I put it in just enough to hold it, and I reach in here and just kind of hold this down, hold it straight for myself. And this is great because this plane can actually be used with one hand. So I hold this down and I come across this piece of wood here, and I'm able to trim this down with one hand and make this fit into the groove. So that's one way I like to use this. A couple other ways, it's fantastic at chamfering. So we'll get this guy loaded in. This is just a piece of cherry. But again, you can see this is a thin stock. This is 3/8 inch stock. And again, I could just come in here. Now, a block plane can do this job, but it's being a small piece of wood in a tight area. This little guy just really does a nice, quick, easy job here. Really, really well. So chamfering small items is great. And I'll give you an example of that right here. This is a box that my wife got me. It was a gift from Rob Cosman. This is a beautiful cocobolo and bird's eye maple, but this is exactly the type of box that you'd want to use this tool on for all those beautiful chamfers on the side there. And one other way I use this is, again, kind of in the same idea as the first one with the skinny wood, is getting these areas planed down, again narrow. So if you're using a blade, I try to match my blade to the width of the wood I'm working on. So a block plane could do this, but again, I'm getting a lot more control coming across here. And for this, I actually use my thumb across the top and keep this parked out along the squirrel tail there and make my cut straight across here. So again, another way you can use this little guy, and it really, really excels at those delicate tasks. So the question, do you need a squirrel plane in your wood shop? I don't know. But I do know that when I'm working with these really small pieces of wood that are delicate and easy to break and easy to screw up, this guy works every time for me. So I hope you enjoyed it, guys. The squirrel plane from Lee Nielsen is in my shop, and I get it used probably at least 3 or 4 times a week. Take care.